Hello there today, viewers. On behalf of the Market 360 advisors here at Stewart Peterson, I'm Bob Davenport, and this is your Dairy Week in Review for April 26, 2013. Looking at the CME dairy components at the conclusion of Friday's trade, block settled the week at 186 even, down 2 cents. Barrels settled at 168.5, down 8.5 cents. Butter settled at 169 even, down 9 3/4 cents. May whey settled at 56 3/4, up just under 3/4 of a cent. And May non-fat dry milk settled at just over 160, up just over 2 cents on the week. Looking at Class 3 futures, it was a pretty negative week overall. May settled at 18.70, down 41 cents. June settled at 19.26, down 21 cents. And the 2013 average lost 6 cents this week, settling at 18.47. Let's take a look at the weekly block barrel average chart. Looking at today's cash session, however, buyers aggressively bought barrels today. However, the barrels didn't get bid up too high, and sellers also didn't offer the barrels too much lower. There was 8 carloads that traded hands, and barrels finished a half a cent lower at 168.5 today. On the blocks, 3 loads traded hands. Buyers weren't as aggressive as they were in the barrels today, and blocks finished unchanged at 186. That puts the block barrel average at 177 1/4 on the week, down 5 1/4 cents this week after quite a rally that we've seen from the March low here up to the April high. It's to be expected that we could see a bit of a correction similar to this one that we saw this week. Oceania cheddar cheese ticked up 9 cents today and is now trading at about $2.09 a pound. That puts our CME cheddar at quite a discount again here, and we should probably be finding some support from that higher Oceania cheddar price going forward. Looking at the second month milk chart here, we did find some significant resistance this week from the sell-off that we saw in the cheese trade. However, the active cheese trade that we saw today with 11 carloads trading hands didn't see much price fluctuation during that cash cheese, but it offered some support to milk futures today. The May month finished up 18 cents from the low that we put in yesterday at 18.53. However, we did finish down 41 cents on the week yet. That's the biggest weekly loss that we've seen since back in January. Weekly dairy cow slaughter for the weekend at April 13th came in at 63,900 head. That's a 1,500 head increase from the week prior and snaps this 4-week losing streak. Now seasonally, we should be expecting some lower cull rates going forward. So we're kind of continuing with this trend here that we've seen over the past several weeks. We've seen a few weeks decline followed by a correction higher, and then another few weeks decline followed by another correction higher. If this pattern's to repeat, we could see a few more weeks decline, and that wouldn't be surprising considering where we're at seasonally. The big event coming up next week is the Fonterra Global Dairy Trade Auction, and that is taking place on Tuesday. Now, the latest auction that we saw 2 weeks ago just showed a minor increase off of an exponential rally that we saw over the past several auctions, showing about 14% increases in the 2 auctions prior to the previous, where we saw just a 0.6% increase. Now, historically speaking, when we look at a chart of the Fonterra Global Dairy Trade Auctions, when we see just a marginal increase like that, like we saw back in 2008 here, it could be a little bit of a signal or somewhat of a precursor to either a short-term or a long-term top, as we've seen in these 2 scenarios right here. Now, so it'll be important to see how things turn out on Tuesday, whether or not we see a drop in the global dairy trade weighted index, or if we see another run up higher. Any increase in prices that we see are going to offer some more good amount of support to our milk prices. However, any bit of sell-off that we see in the global dairy trade auction could offer some pressure to our milk prices. So stay tuned to Tuesday and see where those results come out. Just going to go into a bit of a New Zealand drought update here. I want to look at the New Zealand soil moisture deficit. If you look at this map here, this is the soil moisture deficit from just April 5th, 2013, so just a few weeks ago. As you can see here, it's pretty brutal conditions. The drought it kept things pretty dry, and it's mostly orange and red conditions here on the North Island where the drought had the largest impact. Now, looking at the most current soil moisture deficit, this is actually from this morning, April 26th, New Zealand saw up to 8 inches of rainfall over the course of the past few weeks. Looking in these dark blue and lighter blue areas, that's where the most rainfall was seen over the course of the past 2 weeks. And as you can see between the two charts here, the drought conditions are almost non-existent now on the North Island. And normal weather patterns are anticipated as New Zealand goes further into winter. So what's the New Zealand farmers are hoping here is that pastures will be replenished back to near normal so that they can provide adequate feed to get them through the winter. However, it may take a while here for production to get up and running again since New Zealand farmers dried off so many of their cows so early. So this may not have an immediate impact on dairy prices, but it could cause prices to go down a little bit, knowing that New Zealand could possibly be back to normal production over the course of, as they go into next spring. So this is something that we need to keep monitoring as we go forward, since higher global dairy prices, particularly in New Zealand, have been the main supporter of our dairy prices over the course of the past couple of months. Looking at the week ahead, as I previously went over, we have the Fonterra auction taking place on Tuesday. That'll be very important. And we have our dairy exports report coming out on Thursday. So tune into next week's video for a recap of the Fonterra auction and the dairy exports report. Well, that'll do it for us here today. On behalf of the Market 360 advisors at Stewart Peterson, thanks for watching and have a great weekend.